majority vote in the House. Unfortunately, Bush vetoed that, and that horrific war continues. I am able to work with Republicans. I am able to bring people together to try to create a world where we solve conflicts over the negotiating table, not through military efforts.
Vice President Biden, you talk a lot about your experience, but some of your competitors have taken issue with that experience, questioning your judgment in voting to authorize the Iraq War. Why are you the best prepared person on this stage to be Commander-in-Chief?
To give the President the authority to go to war if, in fact, he couldn't get inspectors into Iraq to stop what thought to be the attempt to get a nuclear weapon. It was a mistake, and I acknowledge that. But
is that
the men who also are
disaffected Trump voters and independents and libertarians? And a survey showed
once we were elected president, he turned to me and asked me to end that war. I know.
Whoa! What happened? What happened? Oh no! Oh man, we're having technical difficulties. Oh no! Oh man! I think these difficulties are happening, and they're so technical.
That's why I led the effort.
Yeah.
Surging tens of thousands of troops in
such a difficult time, you know. Let me try to get this debate back up.
I'm among the least disappointing nominees in the field for Democrats.
So what is this?
Oh, that's better.
I was literally jumping for joy when I saw this survey.
This is the Andrew Yang Town Hall.
Democrats would be like, I would be okay with Yang as a nominee. So if you put those two pieces together, you wind up with the strongest candidate.
PBS actually aired it live.
Particularly because what are his strongest attack lines against his opponents? You're a creature of Washington. You're corrupt. You're like a lifetime politician. You know, crooked Hillary, like the rest of it. None of that stuff works on me. You know, the joke about like the opposite of Donald Trump is the man who likes math. Like I'm kind of like this mirror image of him. And I can make him look utterly ridiculous on the debate stage. I cannot wait to do it.
Hi, I'm actually here from an organization called Respectability. And thank you for completing your questionnaire that we put out to you and all the other candidates. My question is, there are dozens of government programs to help people with disabilities get jobs, but most of them do not coordinate or collaborate to create success. How will you get them to break down silos so people with disabilities can have jobs and independence just like everyone else?
Thank you for your work and your advocacy. I feel very, very passionately about this as the father of an autistic child and as a person. We need to do much more to help people with disabilities access opportunities and jobs. But I'm going to make a bigger argument. We cannot put ourselves in a bucket where we're saying, hey, everyone can contribute at the marketplace. Because one, there are some people that legitimately cannot. Like there are, nonverbal autistic children who are going to grow up to become nonverbal adults. And two, it should not matter. Like we all have value no matter what. This is one thing that drives me crazy about the arguments about women in business. Is like, what you always hear is that like, oh, companies with women in leadership roles make more money. And so let's like unpack that and be like, so the purpose of treating women well is to make more money. And if for some reason you wouldn't make more money by treating women well, then you would not. So this is the argument I would make too for people with disability. It's like, do we need to put much more in the way of resources to help people actually see the abilities of people who have different capacities and then have them enjoy that kind of independence at work? 100% yes. But does that actually, does that need to be the standard that people are at in order to live a good, fulfilling, happy life? No. It's like we should be investing in everyone's happiness and fulfillment, regardless of whether or not they can slot into a corporate role.
I'm going to go share this on the Democrats page.
Thank you.
So you mentioned your talk, I guess, so your campaigns mentioned we're actually entering the first industrial revolution, the new economy, new society to build up. Right. So the question is, how can we make sure that US continue to lead this new century, the new economy, and also make sure that the 60 million people in rural regions like Iowa participate in this, in this big program.
So this is something I'm very, very concerned about, is the United States going to keep pace with China in artificial intelligence? There's a joke that people told in AI. It goes like this. Sure. How far behind the US is China in artificial intelligence? And the answer was 12 hours, because they would wake up and see what we did the previous day. That was a joke. But now the concern is that they're actually poised to leapfrog us, because we invented this thing called machine learning, which now develops algorithms that get smarter based upon having access to more data. You know who has more data than anybody? China. And China has also invested more in computing resources and infrastructure than anyone else, where they have islands of server farms as far as the eye can see, like something right out of the Matrix. And I have sat with our leading technologists in the United States, and they said, look, we will invest $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion in computing infrastructure, but we can't invest 10 or $15 billion the way the Chinese are. And so we're concerned we're not going to keep pace. So I'm going to ask you this question. Proposal number one is that no need to worry, because the American scientists will come up with a new breakthrough, and we will then somehow leapfrog the Chinese again. Or number two, the person with more data and more computing infrastructure is going to win. Raise your hand if you think it's going to be number one. Number two. Yeah, me too. So what I said to the folks in Silicon Valley, I said, all right, let's say I'm the president, which thanks to you all I will be in not that long. Here is a deal I will make with you. We will put up billions of dollars of public resources to match the Chinese computing infrastructure and make it available to you to make sure we maintain our global lead in AI. And in return, you will have some from the government in the room to make sure you do not do something disastrous. Does that seem like a reasonable trade? And then they were like, yes, it does. It's like, good. And they're actually concerned about doing something disastrous, because they know if you do AI research and you go off the rails, it can be very, very devastating. Some of them know that. One of them actually said to me that the government should give us guardrails, because right now our incentives are all to go as fast as possible, and eventually one of us is going to do something we regret. If the CEO of a tech company says that to you, you kind of should listen, am I right? So this is what we need to do to maintain competitiveness in AI. The other major technology realm that we need to try and match the Chinese in is 5G. So they have subsidized their 5G equipment to the highest levels, and we do not have an analogous offering in that space. The other competitors against Huawei and their 5G are Samsung and then a couple of European firms. So this is going to be a massive race and investment that we have to make, and right now we're lagging behind. Those are my two main priorities, and I believe I'm the ideal commander-in-chief to make sure we keep pace with the Chinese in the next number of years.
So I know that a lot of candidates running for the Democrats or even Republicans, say Donald Trump right now, they like to show us everything that they're doing right, all of the good things. Here's how I can do everything that's right. I have no failures. They always like to show like the best things possible. If you were elected president, would you show us the truth? Do not always just show this perfect facade that things are great. You tell us when our problems. Tell us things.
I love this question so much. It speaks to the substance of our politics. You have my word that I will be delighted to tell you about the problems and how crummy it is. because that's just the way my mind works. I think you can sense it from the data. I mean, some of this data is very dark, right? It's very depressing. Most politicians are told, do not say dark and depressing things. The problem is that our reality is becoming dark and depressing. How many of you saw the images from Australia about the wildfire? Was that not straight up out of some kind of nightmarish science fiction movie? Killed 1 billion animals? Can you imagine the carbon levels that went into the atmosphere? Here's my proof that I will tell it how it is. A few debates ago, I was the person who staked out the new position on climate change, which is that it's worse than you think and it's already here, and we just need to get out of the business of trying to protect ourselves against it. How many of you saw that after the debate? And then now the other candidates are saying the same thing. They're like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, there's no preventing climate change, it's here. So I promise you, as your president, I will tell it like it is, warts and all. That's actually just the way I naturally operate.
Thank you. Thank you.
Also, I snack too much, and what else? What are my other vices?
Thanks for being here, Andrew. I appreciate it. I am paid by my employer to make sure that data stays safe, to encrypt it, teach them how to encrypt it. One of the things that's really frustrating is a number of politicians on both sides of the aisle have been saying we need to figure out how to encrypt data, yet give the keys to the good guys. Any cryptographer will tell you that's not possible. You only have two options. It's either fully encrypted or it's backward. My question to you is, if you were running a Department of Justice and you said, here's what we're going to do when we have these types of issues come up, are you somebody who thinks that we should try to find the middle ground, or are you 100% privacy oriented at all times?
I believe that it would depend upon the nature of the information. I think there's some information that we should be committed to saying, like, this should be encrypted and off limits in most any case. And then there's other information. I actually naturally hew towards transparency for some things. And so it depends upon the nature of the info. It's a very big, complicated government and system. There are going to be some things that genuinely should be off limits from public eyes. If it's not clearly in that bucket, then I would like to try and move things towards a greater degree of public transparency. I think right now one of the reasons why we feel the way we feel about our government is that you feel like there are all of these things that are happening in these buildings and in these boxes that we're not privy to. I'm going to give one basic example of something that this is not to your question, so it's kind of far afield, but this is my thinking on it. I'm not someone who would ever say you should run government like a business, because they're two different things. Anyone who says that's pretty dumb, honestly. Different organizations, different leadership skills, different processes. But if you were a business and you got hundreds of billions of dollars of revenue from hundreds of millions of people on a single day, you'd probably be pretty happy about that day. That's tax day. Why is tax day such a miserable bore for all of us? I would turn it into revenue day. I would make it a national holiday. I would bring families to celebrate at the White House another awesome year. And then you get a thank you message from Oprah and The Rock and Tom Hanks saying thank you for fueling our society for another great year. And you get to elect where 1% of your tax money went, so that you have a sense of like engagement with where the money went. And then you get a thank you message from that agency too, like the U.S. Forest Service. There'll be some rangers being like, thank you, and then like picking stuff up. Would that make you feel a little bit better about the government? Yeah. Just getting a thank you would actually be a step. And so to the extent that government can share a piece of information, then you actually start to feel a little bit better and healthier. There's one massive treasure trove of data that we need to make available to academics and data scientists and people who can actually comb through it and find really awesome correlations. Someone told me that it's like right now being caged in a way that is not accessible to academics. But the government accrues a lot of information that if we allowed scientists to go through, you could actually find very, very interesting lessons. I would commit to anything that's like that could actually be a public resource. We should make publicly available and try and renew the trust between government and the people.
This will be our last question.
Oh no, I love questions. Who's got it? You got it.
Hi, my name's George Carr. You mean the absolute world to me. I did my thesis in the ethics of artificial intelligence. And what I focused on was fully autonomous weapons. So those are weapons where there is no human in the loop, and the machine decides who gets the control. Now the amazing thing about this is America has not signed the ban, and a lot of countries have. Elon Musk supports it, tech entrepreneurs support it, but America hasn't signed it. And so what I'd like to know is, why do you think the incentives in international relations, military technology, are so bad that we can't even do something as obvious as banning the Terminator, killer robots? We can't even do that. Why do you think that is, and how can we stop it?
The U.S. has this mistaken view that restraining oneself is somehow curbing options and a sign of weakness, whereas I think it's a sign of strength. For example, I'm one of the candidates who has openly said I would adopt a no first use of nuclear weapons policy because we should not be the first country to use nuclear weapons. Some people in the military think like, well, you always have to reserve the right. Just like I can see the conversation when you're like, hey, killer robots, what do you think? Someone in the military would be like, I might want to use a killer robot that kills automatically without actually checking with anyone. To me, obviously, you should be like, hey, we should make sure that if we kill someone, there's a person making that decision instead of just having an auto kill. So we need to rein in the military-industrial complex of this country. Think about where we just were already with anyone. 75% of Americans want nothing to do with war with Iran. So how the heck are we at the brink of war with Iran? It's because Congress has given its authority to declare war to the executive branch for 19 years and counting and said, do what you want. As your president, I would repeal the AUMF. I would say to Congress, it is your power and your power alone to declare war. And then I would make sure that we end the forever wars and start investing that $700 billion a year in things that will genuinely make us stronger and more secure, including fighting things like climate change. Is that it, or I have another question in me? I was like, yes. It feels so. Sure, just give the mic to someone, Conrad. Yes.
Hi, Andrew. I'm Tyler Carney, and I'm going to first begin with an anecdote and present a question with that. So, when I was 14, and this is an experience many others, especially in Iowa, it's a big issue in Iowa, can relate with. I found out that my mother had a drug abuse problem, specifically methamphetamine. And I was sent to live at a youth shelter, specifically one actually just a couple blocks away from here. So, and there wasn't much legal backing that helped me out. I was placed in a youth shelter without any support from the government, from anyone really, because all of my family had also had issues and I wasn't able to live with them. So when I was sent there, it's a nonprofit organization, as you know. Their budget is extremely low. The way it ran was we weren't able to do anything. We got whatever snacks were donated to us, whatever food was donated.
Man, this is a really good debate.
Another shelter that I had transferred to afterwards. Set down in the morning with a slightly larger budget, it was more of a facility rather than a home like this.
Town hall.
The question I present to you is, what is your? Do you have any form of?
I know.
Have a larger budget for foster
This is the Winecave DNC mixer. It's special. You gotta be select to get into this part of the debate.
Taylor, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. I mean, that's an awesome story. How's the family now? And how many years ago was this? How old were you? Oh yeah, of course, man. I was gonna give you a hug. I was gonna run down, but I didn't. So first, I want to talk about the substance abuse problem that led to your being at the shelter. The opiate epidemic has destroyed so many families, lives, communities, meth as well. It was right here in Iowa where a high school senior said to me that his classmates have fentanyl patches on their arms and are addicted, and what can we do? Like that we have to do more. Now, one of the truths about this situation is that this did not happen by itself. This is a disease of capitalism run amok, where our drug companies, Purdue Pharma, dispensed millions of opiate prescriptions and said this is a non-addictive painkiller wonder drug. And it turns out it was terribly addictive. And that ended up morphing into heroin and fentanyl. There was one point when there were more opiate prescriptions in the state of Ohio than there were human beings in the state of Ohio. And our government looked at that and said that was appropriate. Eventually, our government got around to finding the drug company $635 million, Purdue Pharma. Sounds like a lot, right? Then you realize they made $30 billion, and that was a 2% fine. And they killed tens of thousands of Americans, and we're still wrestling with it to this day. So with that as a backdrop, we have to come clean and say, look, this was an epic government failure at the highest levels. We screwed up, and we helped facilitate or at least turn a blind eye to the drug companies destroying all of these families and lives. So now we need to take all these resources and try and give people a fighting chance to recover and get stronger and more whole. This is not a money problem because no amount of money gives people their loved ones back, gets people off drugs, but money cannot be the obstacle. We need to take those tens of billions of dollars that drug companies made off of us, claw it all back, and then put it right back into our communities to help people get off the drugs. As for what happens when families are struggling, I ran a nonprofit for 7 years. And you know the toughest thing about running a nonprofit is that you raise some money, but then your needs are always much, much higher than your budget. And I've been to churches around the country. And one thing I've noticed is that the churches in affluent areas have more resources than the churches in not so affluent areas. And I thought to myself, it's like, well, it kind of should be the opposite, because if anyone needs like actual resources and services, it's like the place that's struggling. Whereas like the rich neighborhood, it's like, do they really need all this stuff? And so I 100% would make sure that that shelter has adequate resources, that the kids actually have food to eat that isn't donated, and that you can actually maybe even have a budget to live life like a kid, because kids should not be trapped in a shelter thinking that that they can't actually go out and enjoy themselves the way a 13-year-old ought to. But I'll make that right, Taylor. Thank you for sharing. All right, everyone. Let's make history in 20 days.
Stay with us. Coming up on the News Hour, the debate over celibacy among priests draws in 2 popes. Why an Indian city's taps run dry even when monsoons.
What do you guys think? You want to go back to that wine cave with Buttigieg and all of them? Should we head over there? Or
is the real debate happening?
You want to see that? The wine cave mixer?
Okay, what's this? I don't know what you're talking about. I've been off the internet for a couple hours. I don't know what you're talking about.
What, the wine cave mixer?
Yeah. I have no idea what you're talking about.
We were doing the wine cave mixer. We are the wine cave mixer, right?
Oh. I thought it was something else. Well, let's watch something else.
Oh, God, somebody's late. God.
So what I would do is I would bring Obama did.
I stepped away from the interwebs for a couple of hours.
President that sees this as a
I was like,
oh God,
I was like,
the original question you asked
Klobuchar.
the mayor. I would not allow Ron to have.
How many people in the Yang Gang have Amy Klobuchar as their number 2?
In place. I think there are changes you can make to the agreement.
I bet there's hella people in the Yang Gang who are like, Amy Klobuchar.
But overall,
if Andrew Yang doesn't make it, I'm totally going for Amy.
On this debate stage, on the first
you're the only person on the debate stage.
When we were asked what
we doesn't belong there.
Threat to our world. I said China on the economy, but I said Iran because of Donald Trump. Because I feared that exactly what happened would happen. Enrichment of uranium, escalation of tensions, relations with our allies.
I can't grade her. I don't even want to listen to this fucking lady.
Cannot allow to have a nuclear weapon. Vice President Biden, I want to ask you. President Trump has met with Kim Jong-un 3
This is right.
President Obama once said he would meet with North Korea without any preconditions.
Just a bunch of cheating ass oligarchs.
Without any preconditions?
No, not now. I wouldn't meet without any preconditions.
Look,
But we gave everything. He's looking for legitimacy. The president showed up, met with him.
You killed any legitimacy of this process.
I would be putting what I did as vice president. I met with Xi Jinping more than anyone else. I would be putting pressure on China, put pressure on Korea to cease and desist from their nuclear power.
My name is Joe Biden. I'm Donald Trump Light.
I would move forward as we did before, and you reported it extensively, Wolf.
The Democratic version. Trust me.
The whole notion of defense against nuclear weapons that we would, and when China said to me, when Xi Jinping said to me, that's a threat to us, I said, we're going to move and protect our interests unless you get involved and protect them. I would reunite the relationship between Japan and South Korea, and I would put enormous pressure.
Was that him saying that again, or was that the stream? I don't know.
Pressure on North Korea to cease and desist, but I would not meet with, absent preconditions, I would not meet with the, quote, supreme leader who said, Joe Biden is a rabid dog, he should be beaten to death with a stick. I count that.
Well, other than that, you like him.
Other than that, I like him, and he got a love letter from Trump right after that.
Mr. Steyer, would you meet with North Korea without any preconditions?
No.
Fucking Tom Steyer.
No. It's very clear.
Hey, just remember,
if we're going to
America,
do something with North Korea.
you can't democracy your way onto the stage, but you can buy your way there.
Anywhere that the staff can meet to try and see how far we can get. But
Yes.
this is a classic situation where the United States idea of going it alone makes no sense. And when you were talking about Iran, let's face it, Iran is under great pressure economically. So every military power and America versus Iran. Whereas in fact, what worked with President Obama was an alliance of our allies and us putting economic pressure on them for them to give up their military tactic. That to me is called strategy. Having a goal to make America safer by looking more broadly than just us as the policemen of the world spending money.
Let's stay with the theme of America's role in the world and talk about trade. Tomorrow, President Trump is expected to sign phase 1 of a trade agreement with China, and the Senate 1 of a trade agreement with China. And this.
Here, let's get something better on here. Let's go over here.
Yeah, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
be
crap,
boycotting.
right? It's crap. It's a little crap. Here,
It
let's
is.
go here. Let's go see our friends on Reddit. Yeah. Hey, Paget. How's it going? What's going on in Yang World? Let's watch this.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. So earlier today was Andrew Yang's birthday, 45th birthday. We celebrated with hashtag Happy Birthday Andrew Yang and also hashtag Yang Cookie Day. Okay, so let's first check where we are with the donation goal. We were supposed to hit 2 million by tomorrow, and I know that we can do this. We are at over 1 million. That is awesome. I honestly think we can hit 1 million by the end of tomorrow, especially with all the Rage donating, because he's not going to be on that debate stage. So please, you guys, if you've not gotten the merch, by the way, like those sweatpants are super, super comfortable. And also this new sweatshirt that arrived in the mail. They're really, really comfy. You can buy merch and it'll count toward the donation goal. And also Yang Month, yangweek.org. If you guys can go out to Iowa, New Hampshire, Nevada, South Carolina, Yang Month is going on, where they're sending people out to these early primary states so that you can just donate time to basically door knocking, canvassing, whatever, to make sure that Andrew Yang does well as possible in the early primary states. Please sign up. They need more people to sign up. They are fantastic at organization. What I saw in Iowa, I was so impressed how they organized everyone and got everyone exactly what they needed as far as car rentals, flights, hotel stays, or, Airbnb Airbnbs. It's amazing. So please, if you can, sign up there. They'll take care of it. Just sign up. So Andrew Yang, it was his birthday, and we did the hashtag National Cookie Day. And Evelyn Yang, she posted this. Well, Andrew Yang posted this picture of Evelyn Yang holding up the 2 cookies of Andrew Yang and Evelyn Yang. They're so freaking cute. Shout out to Donna, Supercake Hero, at Supercake Hero, for sending these out to them. She is an absolute artist. And Yang Cookie Day was like a huge success. I went to Ninang's Cafe in Northridge, if you guys saw that. Also Karma Bakery in Thousand Oaks. Also, I went to Southern Girl Desserts, and we were canvassing around Crenshaw with Erica and a whole bunch of people. That was super awesome. We got a lot of people to sign up for Andrew Yang's appearance on a Black Town Hall in Crenshaw. I will say Yanging in SoCal is so much different than Yanging in Iowa. It's a lot easier. Like if you guys go to Iowa and then you door knock and try and yang people out in public in Iowa, and then you come back here, you're like, oh my gosh, over here is an absolute breeze. But that was a lot of fun. I'm sorry I didn't live stream it. We made a lot of headway, but it was awesome. So shout out to Erica for organizing all that as well. And also shout out to Antoine's Cookie Shop in San Mateo, Scrumptious by Hira in Lombard, Illinois, Cookies by Design in Urbandale, Domazing in Las Vegas. They went out on a limb and put in all this extra effort. And also, you guys, if you're in California, we still need more people to sign up to be a delegate, right? And they're going to be reviewing the applications in the next coming weeks. Please sign up to be a delegate. They need more women. They need more people of color. Do it, do it, do it. I will leave this link in the description below. So the New York Times, they're going to be announcing its Democratic primary endorsement on January 19th. And they want to hear from you and see which candidate you would endorse. Obviously, they're going to be reading some of these and seeing where the most amount of support comes from. So please, you guys, fill in this questionnaire. This was also suggested by my dad to the Yang Gang to fill in this questionnaire. Do it, you guys. I already did it. So Andrew, he spent his birthday in Iowa. He was at Drake University. Huge freaking crowd at Drake University here. Pretty incredible. And there were a lot of Yang curious people. If you guys caught the Matt and Zach show live stream, there were a lot of Yang curious people in the audience. That is what we want. I'm sure Andrew Yang ended up yanging a whole bunch of people there. And ironically, Drake University is where the debates are going to be held tomorrow night. So it's kind of like Andrew Yang basically is opening the debates for everyone else to bicker and fight. Also, yes, Cory Booker, as I said earlier today, has dropped out of the race. I think he probably just ran out of a lot of the funds. And Charlie Kirk, he tweeted, breaking, Cory Booker has dropped out of the 2020 race. They claim the Republican Party is the party of old white men, yet they rejected every serious minority candidate thus far. What happened to diversity being their strength? Very good point. The DNC, honestly, I feel like the DNC and the Democratic Party, a lot of times they just pay lip service and say that they're for minorities and say that they're for the disenfranchised, when really they're just for themselves, as they're starting to prove, with what they're doing with Andrew Yang, with what mainstream media has been doing with Andrew Yang, silencing him, thinking they can get away with it because he is an Asian American man. It really frustrates me, but you know what? We are fighting back. Ben Shapiro, he tweeted this, really looking forward to the round of recriminations on the left about the complete lack of people of color on their debate stage. Andrew Yang apparently doesn't count. Of course, they are lamenting the fact that everyone is white on that debate stage in light of candidates like Cory Booker and Julian Castro. Yet Andrew Yang, even though he is an Asian American and he is a person of color, of course, he clearly does not count as far as when it comes to Democrat standards, which we have seen as just an ongoing pattern. Because for the Democrats, Asian Americans are 7%, 6 to 7% of the population, and we have historically voted in lowest numbers. So of course, they're not going to pander to us because we are a relatively smaller minority, but we are the fastest growing minority, and we are going to come out in record numbers to vote for Andrew Yang. All right, so a couple of polls came out. The Monmouth poll in Iowa came out. Monmouth poll historically has never treated us very well, right? Biden 24, Sanders 18, Buttigieg 17, Warren 15, Klobuchar 8, and everyone else below 4%. For Cory Booker, he was at 4%. Tom Steyer is at 4%. Entrepreneur Andrew Yang 3%, Tulsi Gabbard at 2%. Now, Cory Booker, he just dropped out. And I really have a sneaking suspicion that a good percentage of those people are going to go to Andrew Yang. I think at least 20% of them are going to go over to Andrew Yang. Now, if you think about that, that's at least 1 percentage point when it comes to Monmouth polling. I actually think a portion of them are going to go to Tom Steyer. I just feel like it's kind of a similar demographic to a certain extent, but I think Andrew Yang definitely is going to get some supporter base from Cory Booker dropping out. We've already seen on Twitter some people saying, now that Cory Booker's dropped off, I'm joining the Yang gang. So that friendship between Andrew Yang and Cory Booker, even though it is genuine, it is also going to work in Andrew Yang's favor. And I think we're going to start seeing that in the polls as well. All right, so the methodology behind this poll, again, right? So a random sample of 1,033 Iowa voters draw from a list of registered Democratic and unaffiliated voters who voted in at least one of the last 2 state primary elections or the 2018 general election, or have registered to vote since November 2018. This includes 471 contacted by a live interviewer on a landline telephone and 562 contacted by a live interviewer on a cell phone in English. Results are based on 405 voters who are likely to attend the Democratic presidential caucuses in February 2020. Monmouth is responsible for all aspects of the survey design, data weighting, and analysis. The full sample is weighted for age, gender, race, and education based on state voter registration lists and U.S. Census information. All right, so you guys, again, the weighted poll, right? So we don't even know exactly how it is weighted. And this would just inherently go not in our favor. Andrew Yang is pulling in a lot of young supporters. And here's the thing, it's out of 405 voters who are likely to attend the caucuses. So 1% equals 4 people. And the fact that they're only counting people who have voted in the last 2 state primary elections or the general election or have registered to vote since November 2018, that's not accounting for a lot of young new voters, also independents, Democrats who are changing their party to vote for someone like Andrew Yang, and really only someone like Andrew Yang. So again, I am not taking these polls to heart. Honestly, I think it's going to be pretty crazy when we see that Andrew Yang, he comes in, he has a surprise showing in Iowa, and the polls are still saying that he's at like 3 or 4% when he comes in like 3rd or 4th in Iowa caucuses. And the Quinnipiac poll, it came out, the national poll, Biden at 25, Sanders at 19, Warren at 16, Buttigieg at 8, Bloomberg at 6, Yang at 5, and everyone else below 4%. That is crazy, as I was saying earlier in my live stream, that somehow Bloomberg is ahead of Yang. That absolutely infuriates me. As I was saying before, Bloomberg has an awful reputation when it comes to a number of things. One, he actually is apparently the one who created the whole stop and frisk. Sophia, Latinas for Yang, was telling me that Bloomberg single-handedly seemed to be responsible for her being scared when she was younger, driving around thinking that she was going to get pulled over just because she's Latina. And he basically said that actually Black people should be pulled over more often. When you look at the numbers, they should actually be pulled over to the side of the road and stopped more often than they are. And he also said that that people who are poor should be taxed more because they clearly don't know how to spend their money. This guy is so out of touch. He is so antiquated and actually just scary in his way of thinking. I cannot believe there are people to run the country. It frightens me that there's even 6%, even in a potentially flawed poll, just 6% period of any group of people wanting to support Bloomberg as president. It makes my head spin. But anyway, Andrew Yang is at 5%, which means that honestly, if they had just waited a few days, Andrew Yang would have easily qualified for this set of debates. It's just, man, I mean, it's frustrating, but he's not going to be on that debate stage and we're not going to watch. And I'm sure a lot of other people are not going to end up watching that debate. And I think we're probably going to be trending hashtag where's Andrew Yang. I'm not 100% sure, you guys. I have not gotten the go ahead, but I mean, I guess we can kind of do it ourselves. Hashtag where is Andrew Yang? And we want to probably start trending this during the debate. Want that to also get headlines while other people are analyzing the debate performances and people just ripping each other to shreds. So you guys, let's cause a commotion, even though Andrew Yang is not going to be on that debate stage. Let's make sure that he is in the spotlight, even though he's not going to be getting a spotlight on the debate stage. And also, I guess this is no real surprise, but in PPIC Notes poll, okay, Andrew Yang wasn't even listed as a candidate among California voters, and he still got 3% when he wasn't even listed as a candidate in this poll. This is absolutely insane. I cannot believe, as Eric Quash says, that pollsters are now leaving Andrew Yang off their polls. This is crazy. He raised 16.5 million in Q4. You know, he has over 400K unique donors. What does he need to do in order to prove that his message wants to be heard by the American people? My God, it just makes me so frustrated. So in this poll, Sanders at 27%, apparently plus 10% since last month. I wonder if Andrew Yang, not even listed on this, has anything to do with it. Biden is at 24, Warren is at 23, Buttigieg at 6, Klobuchar at 4. I'm shocked that Klobuchar is at 4 in California, and then Yang at 3%. But somehow Yang even made it on here, even though his name wasn't that. I mean, honestly, tomorrow's debate is going to be so boring. It's going to be made of the same contrived talking points, the same nothing, no substance answers that basically every politician spews out at every single debate that really offers absolutely no new perspectives, the same forced mom jokes by Klobuchar, the same angry diatribes by Bernie Sanders, the same I have a plan for that by Warren, the same nothing but beautifully articulated answers by Buttigieg. And honestly, Sire, I don't even know what to say about him. He's just the most uncompelling man when he is on that debate stage. I'm sorry, I said it. But this just bothers me so much. So anyway, of course, Elizabeth Warren, in all of her Warren-ness, she comes out and she actually attacks Bernie Sanders. Ed O'Keefe, he tweeted this just in: a statement from Elizabeth Warren about her December 2018 meeting with Bernie Sanders. Bernie and I met for more than 2 hours and discuss the 2020 election, our past work together, and our shared goals: beating Donald Trump, taking back our government from the wealthy and well-connected, and building an economy that works for everyone. That sounds familiar. Among the topics that came up was what would happen if Democrats nominated a female candidate. I thought a woman could win. He disagreed. I have no interest in discussing this private meeting any further because Bernie and I have far more in common than our differences on punditry. I'm in this race to talk about what's broken in this country and how to fix it. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I know Bernie is in the race for the same reason. We have been friends and allies in this fight for a long time, and I have no doubt we will continue to work together to defeat Donald Trump and put our government on the side of the people. So basically, Elizabeth Warren is getting really desperate right now, and she's just trying to find her in. And honestly, the only thing she has to grasp onto is the fact that she is a woman. Maybe she's trying to push the fact that she is the woman version of Bernie Sanders, since Bernie Sanders seems to be looking really strong right now. That is very, very pathetic. So we can expect maybe some back and forth with them tomorrow, but I'm not going to be watching this. And if you guys do watch it, please don't watch it on cable TV. Please pirate it somewhere so at least they don't get the ratings. And then I love this, how Tulsi Gabbard, she comes in and she says, I also met with Bernie Sanders before announcing my candidacy. We had a nice one-on-one conversation and I informed him that I would be running for president. In that meeting, he showed me the greatest respect and encouragement, just as he always has. So I like Tulsi Gabbard taking the high road, even though Bernie Sanders has really failed to stick up for her throughout this primary season, when she basically stuck her neck out on the line for Bernie Sanders in 2016. But go Tulsi Gabbard for sticking up for Bernie Sanders and always being on the right side of things. So yeah, I mean, Andrew Yang is not going to be on the debate stage. We are going to do a huge money drop. We are going to make sure that he hits that 2 million goal. We want that to be the headline, along with our hashtag that we were going to be trending during the debates. I also think that, again, I personally think that we should repost on our Facebook, I'm voting for Andrew Yang, on the debate day. We should all do that tomorrow. And honestly, I'm pretty sure Andrew Yang is going to have some big news tomorrow to roll out. I actually think he might have some endorsements up his sleeve. And I was talking to Erica earlier, and she said that Andrew Yang's tweet, cake, 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 makes her think that potentially Rihanna might be coming out to endorse Andrew Yang. And I think this would be an incredible endorsement. Rihanna has like what, 30 million freaking Twitter followers? That would be crazy. Now, I don't want to get your hopes up because obviously we can't know this for sure, but I do think there can be a high probability of the fact that an endorsement will come out tomorrow. It's going to be a big one. And Andrew Yang is going to do something like live stream his version of the debates or just answering the questions. I honestly think he should live stream that entire time. Even if it's him not answering questions, it would be hilarious if he live streamed of him watching the debates and commenting on people's answers. That would be freaking amazing. And like he TiVo'd it by like pausing it and like, you know, commented and answered the questions himself. That would be so freaking funny. But they definitely have something planned tomorrow. I cannot wait to see to be. I think it's going to be pretty funny. I think it's going to get a lot of attention. And I'm really hoping it's also coupled with a really great endorsement. And also another present to Andrew Yang on his birthday is they got a new cover for The War on Normal People because it is now officially a New York Times bestseller. And also one person actually suggested what a great thing to do is send every single Iowan, every single New Hampshirean a book, The War on Normal People, because that would just yang them instantly, even if they just read it here and there. And I actually had to agree with him. Of course, I don't know if the campaign's going to do that, but I thought that was a really great idea. Anyway, guys, today was a really good day. I'm glad Andrew Yang had a great birthday. His Drake Town Hall was a huge success. There was a lot of people there. I heard that he really delivered. And yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. Honestly, I know that we get down sometimes because he didn't make this qualification or he didn't do this, but then somehow it always flips back around. Like, I have faith. I hope you guys still have faith. There's a long way to go. And if you guys can go out to the early primary states, please do so. Your flights, your accommodations, your food, your rental car could all be paid for by Yang Week. Like, that is what they are there for. So please apply and tell them what your needs are. All right, you guys, that is all that I have for you right now. I would like to thank Jill from Carswell and Oaks and also Lucas Krizenga. Thank you guys so much for your PayPal donations. I don't know if the campaign's going to do that, but I thought it was a way to go. And if you guys can go out to the early primary season, so your flights,
So
your
that was-
accommodations, your
All right. Well, that was pretty cool.
Endorsement we've been telling you we would bring you tonight. The famed comedian Dave Chappelle, who is no stranger to politics, has announced he is endorsing the Yang presidential campaign. A short press release would state, quote, "I'm Yang Gang." And we have a photo of Dave with Andrew Yang shaking hands, all smiles you see there. Yang also tweeting out his thanks, quote, "You are the best. Let's do this for our kids." Chappelle will also be campaigning for Yang later this month. He's going to appear in the key primary state of South Carolina, which is early in the calendar. Now, we don't know if Chappelle will get into any impersonations or even of his new support as the person he's supporting, Mr. Yang. But I did want to show you, as you may already know, he is no stranger to political impersonations.
You win? You have a problem with that? You know what you should do? You should sanction me. Sanction me with your army. Oh, wait a minute. You don't have an army. We're going to go to Oregon. We're going to go to Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania. We're going to Cancun for spring break. We're going to go to Montreal. We're going to Vancouver. I'm going all over the world. And then I'm coming all the way to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
From Bush to Dean to Yang. We'll see if that comes up as well in tonight's debate. Hey, I'm Ari Melber from MSNBC. You can see more of our videos right here, or better yet, subscribe to our YouTube channel below. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us.
I freaking love Dave Chappelle. Okay, so my son is on Twitter and he never really interacts with me on Twitter. He's like 25 and, you know, it's not really cool to be friends with your mom on Twitter, I guess. I don't know. But I posted the Dave Chappelle thing and that was the first only one that he like.
I'll read it out
my
here.
first Yang
The new
post
tweet is it's a retweet.
Okay.
Yeah. There's there's Will. I miss Will. Isn't that Will Lexham right there? Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's math, baby. And I hate math, so I love somebody who loves math. And he's not in the debate. I don't know why. I'm too lazy to Google it. I'm sure there's a reason.
It's fucked up, right? Yo, that shit's fucked up.
Well, I've actually got to be jumping off for a minute, guys.
Yeah. High five her so hard.
Yeah.
Who is she? She's an actor. She's an actor? Why not? Yeah.
What were you saying, Annette?
I don't know. I just said goodbye to Burke, I think.
Oh, Burke headed out. Yeah, no, you're talking about your kid.
Oh, my son. So my son is like 25, and we follow each other on Twitter, but he never really engages with me on Twitter, and certainly not anything about like Yang or any politics or anything like that. And so, but I did. I tweeted the Dave Chappelle thing, and he hearted it, and that made me actually really happy. So it was the first Yang related thing that he hearted. And so, like, I felt a Twitter bond with my son today. It was
going full identity politics. I'm like watching this, but like I'm kind of like relying on you guys for information about the debates because I kind of really don't care at all. I just want to see the Friends of Yang tweets and what they're responding to.
I think Will is so cute. Just saying.
Also, we want to give away one of these jackets. Yo, if we hit the fundraising goal, yo, did you drop the link in there?
I just did.
I don't see it. Where is it? We're gonna find it.
I just did.
I don't know why the links don't really show up. No. Hey, do you guys see the links that Nate is dropping into the chat?
I just put one right now.
No, he just
at the link.
What was Dominic working for?
Right there.
Yeah.
What was Dominic working for?
Dang.
Do you remember what Dominic?
Okay, we're doing everything.
What?
Do you guys see the link that Nate is dropping in?
No,
No,
link.
they're not. That's crazy. Oh wait, you know what? Wait, hold on. I can send it in through mine. Hold on. Oh yeah, I can do that.
It's like command center.
Oh yeah. Hey guys, I'm gonna. Oh wait, you know I'm gonna screen share too. Look at that. This is so cool. Oh really? Yeah.
Okay, that's driving me crazy. That's
Whoa,
Chappelle.
yeah.
Look
Look at this. SoCal.
that hashtag.
Southern California Yang Gang. That's run by Nate. It might be because it's a link and think of it as spam.
I just put a new one that's not a link though.
It really isn't.
What are they trying to do?
Does that show up?
1 second. Let me check. Let me pin this first up.
I have no idea.
Let me copy this link.
It's like
Copy
really trippy and
send this out, and then let me see if I see Nate's. Nate, I do not see your thing. Maybe did you send the same message too many times? Maybe. Oh, there it is. Pinned tweet on SoCal Yang Gang. Yeah, right there. And I just sent the link. Donate through there. Is that it? No.
That you just put secure.aglu.com.
Yeah. Why is it? I copied the link.
No. You copied the link. No, you gotta right click.
There you
go. Okay, yeah.
Right.
There it is. That's the link to donate to SoCal Yang Gang's link for Andrew Yang. Whoever donates the most gets one of these sick jackets.
We need to
okay, we got 2 million. That's allowed, and I don't like any of those people.
Oh, we have a new. It looks like we have a new donation.
New donor.
No, wait, hold on. No. Hold on. It looked like we had more, so I gotta. Yeah, it's gone. It looked like it went up. All right, never mind. Well, we'll
can't hear new donors yet, but it's all good.
We'll get more. So.
I wish Yang would.
Yes, play this.
Don't voters deserve to see the price?
I wish Yang was live right now, live streaming right now. Why aren't we? Why isn't he not?
That's Matt back there. You know Zach and Matt. That dude in the back. That's Matt. So it's like
we're here to donate to Andrew as a fundraiser.
Oh,
I'm not watching this really, but you know, it's cool to make fun of him.
That's Matt.
Because Andrew's not there, and we're also reacting to his live tweets. That's the main purpose of it. Any new tweets?
prescription drugs and
New tweet.
How?
Two new
We
tweets.
need
So for anybody that doesn't know, like these are kind of like gang celebrities to us. We
Yes,
know
great,
who all
but how?
these people
Answer the
are.
question.
They're all kind of famous to us, and we look at them to give us information about Yang, and they're all really excellent content creators. And Will Lex Ham there, he's Tom,
In America.
and then that's
Everyone's
Zach,
saying turn this
Matt
off.
rather.
No, this is important for a second.
Little young one. Young boys.
I went to USC and asked people to ask me about Andrew Yang, and we had a really long discussion with the Bernie supporter about a minute.
Anyone know?
That's Kai, right?
Keep someone says keep posting the link. Right? Does anyone?
I can't post the link.
I have it.
Go to SoCal Yang Gang pinned
I
tweet.
can. You can post the link.
I just it's up there.
Oh, it's up there. Nice.
I can keep on sending it through.
Yes, Biden's breaking down Bernie's math.
$40 trillion over 10 years.
Yep.
That's doubling the entire federal budget per year. There's a way to do that. The way to do that is to take Obamacare, reinstate, rebuild it, provide a public option.
The trick is the capitation method. You're gonna see him explain that to a guy. It's insane.
Process reduce the cost of drug prices, reduce the cost.
Like Biden, like was right to call out Bernie on his
Let's check out
math.
what's going on in
Right?
this other
But
room. Hold on.
Biden then came up with some BS math
Totally
himself
other shit going
afterwards.
on right now. It's fucking hilarious. just wait. Hang on with me really quick, everybody. This shit is hilarious.
People post on Twitter hashtag either Team Steve or hashtag Team Paget.
Please hashtag Team Paget. And the first person to get 100 tweets with
This
the
shit is all
hashtag
live
Team
right
Paget
now.
or Team Steve will win the competition. If I win, you guys, you get to see me put makeup on Steve. If Steve wins, then I will make him a meal of his choice, and I will say nice things to him for 5 minutes. All right. He very hesitantly agreed to do this. He like really does not like the makeup thing. So let's make sure that he gets it done. And I mean, it's gonna be really, really fun. Who's gonna be hashtag? Who's gonna be hashtag Team Paget? Type 1 in the chat, please. Yes, Steve is alive. No one's saying 1. This is making me very concerned. All right, whatever. All right, no one's saying anything. That's really sad. What? There shouldn't be any freaking 2s. After I did that phone banking, you guys are so freaking.
This is what's going on over in Paget world, huh?
Okay, whatever. Anyway, I didn't. He's actually, you guys, if you want to know where he is, he's actually in Lisbon right now. He's at like some work, like conference, like tax people get together. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. He explained it to me, and I still don't really understand it. It's a thing, it's a convention thingy-mabobber. All right. So, oh, Yang Dang is in the chat. Yang Dang, is that Yang Dang? Wait, did I see that correctly? 111.
Let's check this other thing out. These guys, I don't know what these guys are doing. Let's try this. Take a little romp around the live world. What's going on right now?
I might as well put on all my Yang Gang buttons.
Come on.
What the heck is that? That looks dirty. What is it?
I don't know. I thought it was.
Created thousands of jobs.
Okay.
Helped improve children's nutrition and lowered income inequality. And what's
We're like, screw the debate, man.
Nancy Pelosi and his speaker. The answer is a nonprofit public option. The answer is the real debate we should be having is how do we make it easier for people to get coverage for addiction and mental health? I have a plan for that. And then finally,
Well, let's see what Problem Solver Politics had to say today.
Doesn't even fit in this
Let's go
room.
check them out.
Yeah, we can go check out PSP. We'll check back with the other guys and see what they're doing.
They're definitely one of my favorite channels to keep up with.
Yeah. This was not that long ago. Oh, boo.
All right. Hey,
Yeah.
Problem Solver
No
Politics
logo.
family. I'm about to go to the post office to mail out a bunch of the boxes of all of your hats that you ordered with the super chats yesterday. But I'm missing an address, and we don't know who this is. So Mark Percy, I'm assuming that's maybe a real name, just a username. I'm not sure. But all the others, Fred the Felon and all the other guys, sent us their addresses, and we're mailing them out right now. So Mark, you got to give us your address, man. Make sure you email us. And anybody else that wants to get a hat, make sure you check out the link on problemsolverpolitics.com. See you guys after the debates.
Okay. He's mailing out some hats. That's cool. Let's go check out Will and them again. Kai.
I didn't know that. Amateur entrepreneur, YouTube user, Angela Mazio, long-legged egg. What's up, guys? We're fundraising for
Okay. Should we read off some of the tweets? There's been some tweets to read.
Oh, yeah, do raise your hand tweets.
Should we read them off? All right, let's see. Let's do Andrew Yang. All right, we're going to put it on
TV. We'll slide it over. Will, do you read your tweet?
No, I mean, it's the whole thing. So I'll just read it off. There was a retweet here from @CalebWolf6. Hashtag America needs Yang. Senators speak for states and parties. Andrew speaks for America.
Yeah.
There's a retweet from Jake LaHood. He is a blue check here. He's a journalist for a New Hampshire newspaper. He says you can think of a few instances here where Andrew Yang's perspective would shape the debate on stage. Which conversations has Tom Steyer uniquely influenced so far? That's
If you didn't use your mic, maybe, because I guess I can plug it in so we can have like really good audio from all over the place.
How are you going to plug that in?
Through here.
Oh, you got that?
Yeah, I do. This is gonna be so much. The stream is about to get upgraded, Yang. Like, you're not gonna even believe what I'm about to do for the stream. Signs are over here.
Where? Oh, there it is.
I have multiple mics going, guys, and we're doing this to raise $4,000 for Angel Yang for the show.
Too much.
If you have any questions or anything like that, ask some questions. Let's have a conversation.
Yeah, let's drop it on the other wine cave real quick. Dropping in on the wine cave.
On Earth is guaranteeing health care for all. The time is long overdue for us to do the same.
Senator Klobuchar. Again, I think it is much better to build on the Affordable Care Act, and if you want to be practical and progressive at the same time and have a plan and not a pipe dream, you have to show how you're going to pay for it. And I would also note practically that the Affordable Care Act right now is 10 points more popular than the President of the United States. So I think the answer is to build on it. And yes, I think you should show how you're going to pay for things, Bernie. I do. This president is treating people out there like poker chips in one of his bankrupt casinos, the way he is adding to our debt. I am the one person up here who has on her website, in her plan, a plan to actually start taking on the deficit by taking part of that money from that corporate tax cut that they put in there and putting it in a fund to pay back the deficit. And I have shown how I'm going to pay for every single plan. Capital gains tax going to the personal level, getting rid of the oil giveaways, doing something about the hedge fund loophole.
Senator Klobuchar, you're telling Mayor Buttigieg, you're selling your plan as Medicare for all who want it, yet your plan would automatically enroll uninsured Americans into a public option, even if they don't want it, and force them to pay for it. How is that truth in advertising?
Well, it's making sure that there is no such thing as an uninsured American.
Look, the individual mandate was an important part of the ACA because the system doesn't work if there are free riders. What I'm offering is a choice. You don't have to be in my plan if there's another plan that you would rather keep. And there's no need to kick Americans off the plans that they want in order to deliver health care for all. And my plan is paid for. Look, our party should no longer hesitate to talk about the issue of the debt and the deficit. Now, we've got a dramatically better track record on it than Republicans do. In my lifetime, it's almost invariably Republican presidents who have added to the deficit $1 trillion under this president. And it's why everything I've put forward, from Medicare for all who want it, to the historic investments we're going to make in infrastructure, to dealing with climate change, is fully paid for. When it comes to healthcare, you can do it in 2 moves. Of course, my plan costs $1.5 trillion over a decade. No small sum, but not the 20, 30, 40 that we're hearing about from the others. All I got to do is 2 things. Both of them are common sense. Allow Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices and roll back the Trump corporate tax cuts that went to corporations and the wealthy that didn't even need it.
Senator Warren.
So I started this by talking about 36 million Americans, including Americans with insurance, who just can't even afford to have a prescription filled. We all talk about plans, healthcare plans that we have, and these plans are paid for. The problem is that plans like the mayor's and like the vice president's is that they are an improvement. They are an improvement over where we are right now. But they're a small improvement. And that's why it is that they cost so much less. Because by themselves, they're not going to be enough to cover prescriptions for 36 million people who can't afford to get them filled. What we need to do is make the commitment that we know where the money comes from. We can ask those at the very top, the top 1%, to pay a little more. Those giant corporations like Chevron and Amazon who pay nothing in taxes, we can have them pay. And we can go after the corporate tax cheats. And when we do that, we have to provide health care for all our people. Yes, we build on the Affordable Care Act, but where we end up is we offer health care to all of our people. And we can offer cost or low cost to all of them.
Mayor Buttigieg.
It's just not true that the plan I'm proposing is small. We got to move past a Washington mentality that suggests that the bigness of plans only consists of how many trillions of dollars they put through the Treasury. That the boldness of a plan only consists of how many Americans it can alienate. This would be a game changer. This would be the biggest thing we've done to American healthcare in a half century. Let's measure the effects of our plans based on what they would do in our everyday lives. And yes, we're taking on cost. On prescription drugs, we'll have an out-of-pocket cap, even if you don't get the subsidies that would make it free, a $250 monthly cap. And here's why it's got to be monthly. You ever been in that situation or known somebody who finds that they've got to defer a procedure or delay filling a prescription to try to have it happen in the right month? Because of when your out-of-pocket cap hits, it makes no sense medically because most of us don't experience the economy on an annual basis. Our bills don't come in every year, they come in every month. Same with our paychecks, bi-weekly or monthly. That's why we set this up in a way to solve the problem without running up 20, 30, $40 trillion.
Senator
bills.
Warren, your response?
Look, the numbers that the mayor's offering just don't add up. The average family in America last year paid $12,000 in some combination of deductibles and co-pays and uncovered expenses and fees. You can't cover that with the kind of money that the mayor is talking about. The way we have to approach this is we've got to build this and we've got to build the alliances to make this happen. I can bring down the cost of prescription drugs like insulin and take hundreds of millions of dollars out of the system immediately in costs. We can get help to families, but we have to be willing to work together. We can let people experience what healthcare is like. when it's you and your doctor, your mental health professional, your nurse practitioner with no insurance company standing in the middle. When people try it and use it, then
Senator Warren, you acknowledged that Medicare for All, that you couldn't get there right away. You got on the bill that said on page 8, which is why I didn't get on it, that you would kick 149 million Americans off their current health insurance. Then a few months ago, you said, no, you're going to wait a while to get there. And I think that was some acknowledgement that maybe what we're talking about is true. And I don't buy that it's not enough. It is a big step to say to people making $100,000 a year that your premiums will be cut in half, which is what the nonprofit public option will do. And if you talk, Mayor Buttigieg, about Medicare and having negotiation, I actually have led that bill for years. I have 34 co-sponsors. As president, I can get it done. That would allow Medicare to finally negotiate and lift the ban that Big Pharma got into law that says they can't negotiate for better prices for our seniors. I will get it done.
Senator Sanders, coming to you now. CNN reached out to Iowa Democratic voters for their most pressing questions. Edward from here in Des Moines writes, Des Moines is an insurance town. What happens to all the insurance industry, the health insurance industry here, Care for All? What happens to all the jobs and the livelihoods of the people that live in insurance towns like Des Moines?
We build into our Medicare for All program a transition fund of many, many billions of dollars that will provide for up to 5 years income and health care and job training for those people. But here is the issue a moment ago. We are now spending twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country. That is insane. In some cases, 10 times more for prescription drugs. Why is that? Why is that? And the answer is corruption of the drug. And if we want to do what every other major country on earth does,
JB,
and guarantee people
I'm sending some
healthcare is a human right, not a
graphics
privilege.
to the YGRO
You know what we have to
chat.
do? We are finally going to
You
have
should check
to
those
stand
out. We
up
can put
to
those
the
up
healthcare
at some
industry
point.
and end hundreds of billions of dollars of waste and profiteering.
Mr. Steyer.
I just want to emphasize what Senator Sanders said. This is not a complicated problem. Between what Senator Warren and Senator Sanders said, it's clear. There are two problems. We're spending way too much because corporations own the system.
Okay. So I just saw these in another group chat that I'm in. And they're some of Yang's
Let's see what's going on
policies in lovely
and
little
also,
blue
guys, another thing
graphics.
Another thing is Chantal might be coming over here later. Do you want to meet Chantal again? I'm just taking it. If you want to meet Chantal again, type 1. If you don't, type 2. So anyway, let's see what's happening. Yes. Is that 1 or is that 2? All right. It's really happening. Citizens of America, the next Twitter voice you will hear will not be. Wait, he just retweeted that. What? That was the last. What? Okay, Chantal, if she comes over, I'm not sure if she's going to come over still, but I'll let her know. A few of my friends seeing. Wait, we already saw this.
Steve Mullinex, my high school buddy, classmate, Steve Mullinex just joined the watch party.
America needs Yang in this debate so that they can experience a candidate answering a direct question within the time limit. I work in automation, believe me. America needs Yang. American needs this couple. Oh, that's so sweet. The 1990 exchange evidence. Who is this? I don't know who any of these people are. Reporter for New York Times. Wait, dude, New York Times. What if they endorse Andrew Yang? That would be pretty That would be pretty cool. Let's It's cute.
Oh, that's who she is. Okay, so they were looking at that, and they were wondering who she was. That's what Kai and Will were looking at.
Yeah, totally. Okay, that's cool. Anita Baker. Anita Baker. Knees Yang Forward United. I love. Oops. All right.
It's a big deal. I mean, people try to say that celebrity endorsements aren't a big deal, but people listen to celebrities more than they listen to politicians. And celebrities matter. Like, it matters, these endorsements.
What was I lying about? Please tell me what I was lying. I wasn't lying about anything. Stop it. Anita is so Yang Gang.
Shut the front door. We'll get that tonight.
Ari is going to interview Dave Chappelle talking about why he's that is amazing. That would be so freaking cool. 1.5, you guys. So, all right, I feel like we're gonna hit this, right? I knew that we were gonna hit at least 1.5. I did call that yesterday. Yeah, is the counter. Yang needs to do something Monday on MLK Day. I think he probably will. Let me see. All right. I don't know.
And we've given tax cuts to the richest Americans and the biggest corporations for decades. That's all this is. We have corporations who are having their way with the American people, and people are suffering. Senator Warren is right. This is cruelty for money. In order to break this, we're going to have to break the corporate stranglehold and solve both the tax and the negotiating problem. That's why I'm for term limits. We need to redo Washington, D.C. and actually take back the government from the corporations.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Vice President Biden.
What?
That the
could have at least finished.
Recent time was us being able to do in our administration.
Oh, fuck that.
Five
That's terrible.
Democratic presidents couldn't get done, and that is past Obamacare. It was a big deal. Secondly, I would argue that the way you control drug prices is you limit what they can charge for those prices. You don't have to pay the price, limit what they can charge. If in fact they charge more than we set the price for, they can in fact, people can import from abroad, assuming that it is safe. We in fact, it's only yellow, Wolf, okay? And we can in fact do all of this and still provide people the option to stay, the roughly 150, 160 million Americans who like the negotiated plan they have with their employers. If they don't like it or the employer gets rid of it, they can buy into a Medicare plan in the Biden plan.
Let's talk a little bit more about prescription drugs right now. Prescription drug prices in 2018, Americans spent $335 billion on prescription drugs alone. That's about $60 billion more than they paid a decade ago. Senator Warren, you've called for the creation of a government-run drug manufacturer that would step in if there is a drug shortage or a price spike. Why does it make sense for the government to manufacture drugs, especially when public trust in government is near historic lows?
So let's do this both ways. What I also have said is I'm just going to use the power that is available, and I will do what a president can do all by herself on the very first day, and that is lower the prices of certain prescription drugs. I will lower the price of insulin. We already have the legal authority with the president to do that. President just hasn't picked up and used it. I will lower the price of EpiPens, of HIV, AIDS drugs. That's going to bring a lot of relief to a lot of families immediately. But you know, there are a whole lot of drugs, about 90% of drugs, that are not under patent. They're generic drugs. But the drug industry has figured out how to manipulate this industry to keep jerking the prices up and up and up. So my view is, let's give them a little competition. The government lets contracts for all kinds of things. They let contracts to build buildings. They let contracts to build military weapons. Let's let the contracts out, put the contracts out so that we can put more generic drugs out there and drive down those prices. This is a way to make markets work, not to try to move away from the market. You don't have to even use price controls. The whole idea behind it is get some competition out there so the price of these drugs that are no longer under patent drops where it should.
Senator Klobuchar, do you believe the government should be manufacturing drugs?
I am open to looking at it, but I would try these things first. Number one, I mentioned the Medicare negotiation. Number two, I have a plan, 137 things I found that a president can do herself in the first 100 days without Congress that are legal. And one of those things is that you can start bringing in less expensive drugs from other countries. Bernie and I had an amendment on this. We got 14 Republican votes on it. It was at midnight. They might have not known what they were voting for, but we got that. I now have an actual bill with Senator Grassley that does that. And I have a bill to get at what Elizabeth was talking about, which is to stop generics from taking money from big pharmaceuticals to keep their products off the market. The issue here is that there are 2 pharma lobbyists for every member of Congress.
Thank you, Senator.
They think they own Washington. They don't own me.
Thank
and
you,
as
Senator
president, I will
Klobuchar.
get this done.
We're going to turn now to childcare, a huge expense for many new families and a problem that's especially acute in rural Iowa. We have another question from an Iowa Democratic voter. Mayor Buttigieg, this is for you. Tiffany from Clive writes, as a young mom, I had to quit a job I loved because childcare costs were taking up 2/3 of my income. Many families don't have the option of quitting a job because that little bit of income is needed. That leads to families using whatever care they can find, and sometimes the results are deadly, as we've seen in Iowa over the last few years. How will you prioritize accessing quality, affordable childcare in your first 100 days in office?
It makes no sense for childcare to cost 2/3 of somebody's income. We've got to drive it to 7% or below, and 0 for those families who are living in poverty. But this is happening to folks at every level of the income spectrum. I meet professionals who sometimes say that they're working in order to be able to afford childcare in order to be able to be working. It makes no sense, and it must change, and we shouldn't be afraid to put federal dollars into making that a reality. Subsidizing childcare and making sure that we are building up a workforce of people who are paid at a decent level to offer early childhood education as well as childcare writ large. We can do that. And until we do, this will be one of the biggest drivers of the gender pay gap. Because when somebody like the voter asking the question has to step out of the workforce because of that reason, she is at a disadvantage when she comes back in, and that can affect her pay for the rest of her career.
Senator Warren, your education plan includes tuition-free public college for all, but you impose an income limit for free childcare. Why do your plans cover everyone for public college, but not childcare and early learning?
No, actually, my plan is universal childcare for everyone. It just has some people adding a small payment. But understand this about the plan. I've been there. You know, I remember when I was a young mom, I had 2 little kids, and I had my first real university teaching job. It was hard work. I was excited, but it was childcare that nearly brought me down. We went through one childcare after another, and it just didn't work. If I hadn't been saved by my Aunt B, I was ready to quit my job. And I think about how many women of my generation just got knocked off the track and never got back on. How many of my daughter's generation get knocked off the track and don't get back on? How many mamas and daddies today are getting knocked off the track and never get back on? I have a 2-cent wealth tax so that we can cover childcare for all of our children and provide universal pre-K for every 3-year-old and 4-year-old in America, and stop exploiting the people who do this valuable work. Largely Black and brown women. We can raise the wages of every childcare worker and preschool teacher in America. That's an investment in our babies. That's an investment in their mamas and their daddies. And it's an investment in our teachers and in our economy.
Senator Sanders, will your universal child care program be free for everyone, regardless of income?
Yeah. Let me just pick up on this childcare thing. Every psychologist in the world knows 0 through 4 are the most important years of human life, intellectually and emotionally. And yet our current childcare system is an embarrassment. It is unaffordable. Childcare workers are making wages lower than McDonald's workers. We need to fundamentally change priorities in America. We should not be one of the few countries that does not have universal, high-quality, affordable childcare. We should not be one of the only major countries not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. We should not be spending more than the 10 next countries on the military, hundreds of billions of dollars in subsidies for the fossil fuel industry, tax breaks for billionaires, and then tell the moms and dads in this country we
Thank you,
cannot have
Senator.
high-quality,
Vice President
affordable
Biden, I'm coming to
childcare.
you now.
That is wrong.
Vice President Biden, infant care is more expensive than in-state public college tuition in more than half the country. Do you support free universal infant care?
There should be free universal infant care, but here's the deal. You know, I was a single parent too. When my wife and daughter were killed, my 2 boys I had to raise, I was a senator, a young senator. I just hadn't been sworn in yet. And I was making $42,000 a year. I commuted every single solitary day to Wilmington, Delaware, over 500 miles a day, 250 miles a day, because I could not afford, but for my family, childcare. It was beyond my reach to be able to do it. And that's why there's several things we do. When I triple the amount of money for Title I schools, every child 3, 4, and 5 years old will, in fact, have full schooling. They'll go to school and after-school programs, which will release some of the burden. Secondly, I think we should have an $8,000 tax credit, which would put 7 million women back to work. They could afford to go to work and still care for their children as an $8,000 tax credit. I also believe that we should, in fact, for people who, in fact, are not able to afford any of infant care, to be able to get that care. But Bernie's right. We have to raise the salaries of the people who are doing the care. And I provide for that as well. My time is up, I know, but I'm not going to go over like everybody.
Mayor Buttigieg. Mayor Buttigieg, higher education is another huge expense for families. You oppose free public college for all because you don't want to make it, quote, free for the kids of millionaires. But lots of public services are available to the kids of rich people, like libraries and public schools. Why do you draw the line at public colleges and universities?
Well, it's simple. We expect and hope for everyone to get through 12th grade. It's not the same for college. Now, again, I don't want cost ever to be a barrier to somebody seeking to attend college. And under my plan, it won't be. Matter of fact, for the first 80% of Americans by income, it is free at public colleges. But if you're in that top income bracket, don't get me wrong, I still wish you well. I hope you succeed when you go to college. I just need you to go ahead and pay that tuition because we could be using those dollars for something else. There is a very real choice about what we do with every single taxpayer dollar that we raise. And we need to be using that to support everybody, whether you go to college or not, making sure that Americans can thrive, investing in infrastructure, and something that hasn't come up very much tonight that deserves.
Dividend could help us. Maybe we should talk about like Yang's policies instead of his. Like, let's have a rebuttal to what he just said. So, what's Yang's tuition like college? Let's talk about Yang's college policy, education policy.
Do you have it up?
What do you think?
Yeah.
No, but I can pull it up.
Here, I'll pull it up. Policies. That's right.
Yeah, you're probably faster than me. I'm slow.
Well, I have to share it anyway.
I'm a slow old lady.
Let's see here. We're not an old lady. And let's see.
So we know that he wants to make, he doesn't want to have free college necessarily, but he wants to make college affordable for everybody, even rich kids.
So let's share a different thing. Share screen. There we go. So when you go in here,
so they were talking about child care earlier. So we can speak to that just off the top of our heads. So the freedom dividend of $1,000 a month, that UBI for anybody, huh?
Sorry, the delay is messing us up.
Either one. Let's talk about either one. But while you were pulling it up, I was just gonna talk. So
No, you're doing
But we
great.
can do
It's
this one.
just the delay. It's just the delay that's kind of messing the conversation up. The education thing though that you were asking about.
Take Dave down.
There's 3 major bullet points. There's reduced student loan.
Take Dave Chappelle down.
Oh yeah. Let's take Dave down. There we go.
There we go.
So there's 3 major points.
All right.
Which is to reduce student loan burden, promote vocational education, and supporting HBCUs. If we go into reduce student loan burden, it says student debt levels have exploded relative to other forms of debt over the past decade in particular. Educational loan totals recently surpassed $1.4 trillion in the U.S., up from $550 billion in 2011 and only $90 billion in 1999. The average level of indebtedness upon graduation is $37,172, and there are 44 million student borrowers. Default rates have crept up steadily to 11.2%, and if you include delinquency rates, it's as high as 25%. This is limiting the growth of our economy and also crippling the advancement of millions of young people in their careers and in starting families. We need to create a clear path out of this crippling debt. So here are the problems to be solved. Education debt has exploded in recent years to unsupportable levels. Millions of young Americans owe tens of thousands of dollars in debt and face uncertain financial futures. Entire generations will have difficulty advancing professionally, starting families, buying homes and vehicles, and fueling the next level of economic growth due to high debt loads. There is low accountability for educational institutions that benefit from public financing while providing graduates little in the way of real opportunities. Lenders have little incentive to work with those in debt since bankruptcy doesn't eliminate student loan debt. So let's go to his policies. Goals. Well, here are the goals. Reduce burden on millions of young Americans for their education, and improve efficacy of funds invested in education, and increase accountability of educational institutions. This is what he's going to do. He's going to reduce student loan payments for millions of Americans by ensuring that American government doesn't profit 1 cent from its educational loan servicing, and that students get the same interest rates as the wealthiest banks. So he's going to make interest rates better. He's going to explore a blanket partial reduction in the principal of school loans, especially for recent graduates with the largest debt levels, the bailout for the people, and forgiveness for debt beyond a certain period after graduation. Propose the 10 by 10 Student Loan Emancipation Act, a plan which the federal government would buy student loan debt, negotiated rate with the private lenders, and allow students to opt into a plan to repay it through pledging 10% of their salary per year for 10 years, after which the balance would be forgiven. So if your job that you take doesn't add up to the kind of money that you need to pay off your debt, rather than doing that, 10% of your income would go to the debt.
I really like that 10 by 10 plan. I like that a lot.
Good. Yeah, I like that. Now let's move on. It says ask schools to forgive in part or in whole the debt of those who do not graduate. Initiate a program that allows graduates to pay a % of income instead of fixed amount. Establish a commission that will, so he wants to expand that 10 by 10. That's kind of cool. So if you just want to start off that way, then that might be a better plan for a lot of people. He wants to establish a commission that will explore debt forgiveness or reduction for students who sought degrees under false pretenses. Wow. And then change bankruptcy laws to make it easier to discharge educational debt. Expand.
You're breaking up.
I don't know how the signal is. Let me go back here. So he wants to expand that forgiveness. He wants to expand a program that forgives the debt of graduates who work in rural areas or with underprivileged populations. He wants to close schools with high loan default rates and consistently low employment placement success. So basically, trash schools. He wants to get them closed. That's good. Police and prosecute all marketing representations of schools that might induce students under false pretenses. Yeah, like Trump University. Allow student loan debt to be discharged through bankruptcy, thus forcing lenders to work with students in good faith to find a workable repayment plan. That is the reduced student loan burden.
Oh, so I like that. Expand a program
So this one is called Promote Vocational Education. I'm going to skip through just to the goals and policy. So he wants to increase vocational training options in public schools, counsel students on the right path to them based on their interests and career goals. And as president, he's going to increase funding to vocational programs within public schools, direct the Department of Education to provide materials to all public schools about career paths that don't require a college degree, and prioritize career paths that students express interest in rather than giving them blanket advice that college is the right and only option. And we're going to begin an education campaigning vocational jobs and education titled I Work With My Hands and It's Awesome. That's great. Do you want to check back on the Winecave? Because I think people are still interested. Oh, no, let's check out Paget. Go there.
John, Free Steve. Push it to Hawaii time. They're probably going to push it to Hawaii time. Anyway, I don't know when this debate ends. You guys, let me know, when does this debate end? Like, when is this going to end?
When is this all going to end? Hold on, let's get out of Paget. She's killing me here. Let's see. We love Paget here. Where's Annette? Oh. There you are, Annette. These guys are just sitting there. Yeah, the debate's on commercial right now, so let's see if we can find out what's going on in the Winecave. It's total silence in the Winecave. Oh, here we go. Here we go. They're back on.
Today, many Iowans are still displaced from their homes. Mayor Buttigieg, you've talked about helping people move from areas at high risk of flooding. But what do you do about farms and factories that simply can't be moved?
That's why we have to fight climate change with such urgency. Climate change has come to America from coast to coast. We're seeing it in Iowa. We've seen it in historic floods in my community. In Australia, there are literally tornadoes made of fire taking place. This is no longer theoretical.
Was this like a fancy thing they did at the Winecave?
Communities are more resilient, to make sure our economy is ready for the consequences that are going to happen one way or the other. But we also have to ensure that we don't allow this to get any worse. And if we get it right, farmers will be a huge part of the solution. We need to reach out to the very people who have sometimes been made to feel that accepting climate science would be a defeat for them, whether we're talking about farmers or industrial workers in my community, and make clear that we need to enlist them in the national project to do something about it.
To clarify, what do you do about farms and factories that cannot be relocated?
We are going to have to use federal funds to make sure that we are supporting those whose lives will inevitably be impacted further by the increased severity and the increased frequency. And by the way, that is happening to farms, that is happening to factories, and that disproportionately happens to Black and Brown Americans, which is why equity and environmental justice have to be at the core of our climate plan.
Thank you, Mayor Buttigieg. Mr. Steyer, what's your response?
Look, what you're talking about is what's called managed retreat. It's basically saying we're going to have to move things because this crisis is out of control and it's unbelievably expensive. And of course, we're going to come to the rescue of Americans who are in trouble. But this is why climate is my #1 priority. And I'm still shocked that I'm the only person on this stage who will say this. I would declare a state of emergency on day 1 on climate. I would do it from the standpoint of environmental justice and make sure we go to the black and brown
The
communities
5 like
where you can't breathe,
Steyer
or
supporters
drink the
in the
water
back.
that comes out of the tap safely. But I also know this. We're going to create millions of good paying union jobs across this country. It's going to be the biggest job program in American history. So I know we have to do it. I know we can do it. And I know that we can do it in a way that makes us healthier, that makes us better paid, and is more just. But the truth of the matter is, we're going to have to do it, and we're going to have to make the whole world come along with us, and it's going to have to be priority 1.
Mr. Steyer, to clarify, you say you're the climate change candidate, but you made your $1.6 billion in part by investing in coal, oil, and gas. So are you the right messenger on this topic?
I absolutely am. Look, we invested in every part of the economy. And over 10 years ago, I realized that there was something going on that had to do with fossil fuels that we had to change. So I divested from fossil fuels. I took the giving pledge to give most of my money away while I'm alive. And for 12 years, I've been fighting the climate crisis. I've beat oil companies in terms of clean air laws. I've stopped fossil fuel plants in Oxnard, California. I fought the Keystone Pipeline. I have a history of over a decade of leading the climate fight successfully.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer.
So actually, yes, I am the person here who has the chops and the history that says, I'll make it priority 1 because I've been doing it for a long time.
Thank you, Mr. Steyer. Senator Warren,
Yes.
President Trump is rolling back major environmental rules to allow pipelines and other major infrastructure projects to be built without strict environmental review. Will you restore those protections and in a way that the next president can't overturn?
Yes. Climate change threatens every living thing on this planet, and the urgency of the moment cannot be overstated. I will do everything a president can do all by herself on the first day. I will roll back the environmental changes that Donald Trump is putting in place. I will stop all new drilling and mining on federal lands and offshore drilling. That'll help us get in the right directions. I'll bring in the farmers. Farmers can be part of the climate solution. We should see this, though, for the problem it is. Mr. Steyer talks about it being problem #1. Understand this. We have known about this climate crisis for decades. Back in the 1990s, we were calling it global warming, but we knew what it was. Democrats and Republicans back then were working together because no one wanted a problem. But you know what happened? The industry came in and said, we can make big money if we keep them divided and make no change. Priority #1 has to be taking back our government from the corruption. That is the only way we will make progress on climate, on gun safety, on health care, on
Thank you,
all
Senator
of
Warren.
the issues that
Senator
matter to us.
Klobuchar, some of your competitors on this stage have called for an all-out ban on fracking. You haven't. Why not?
Well, first of all, I would note that I have 100% rating from the League of Conservation Voters. And that is because I have stood tall on every issue that we have talked about up here when it comes to this administration, this Trump administration, trying to reverse environmental protections. I think it is going to lead to so many problems. And one thing that hasn't been raised, by the way, is the rules on methane, which is actually one of the most environmentally dangerous hazards that they have recently embarked on. And I would bring those rules back, as well as a number of other ones. When it comes to the issue of fracking, I actually see natural gas as a transition fuel. It's a transition fuel to where we get to carbon neutral. Nearly every one of us has a plan that is very similar, and that is to get to carbon neutral by 2045 to 2050, to get to by 2030 to a 45% reduction. And I want to add one thing that no one's really answered. When we do this, we have to make sure that we make people whole. And when we put a tax on carbon, which we will do either through cap and trade or through a renewable electricity standard or through a fee on carbon, then we have to make sure the money goes back to the people that will be hurt by it, to help them with their energy bills and to bring jobs to areas that will lose jobs.
Senator Sanders.
Thank you. Let's be clear. If we as a nation do not transform our energy system away from fossil fuel, not by 2050, not by 2040, But unless we lead the world right now, not easy stuff, the planet we are leaving our kids will be uninhabitable and unhealthy. We are seeing Australia burning. We saw California burning. The drought here in Iowa is going to make it harder for farmers to produce the food that we need. This is, of course, a national crisis. I've introduced legislation to indicate it's a national crisis. We have got to take on the fossil fuel industry and all of their lies and tell them that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of this planet. That's what the Green New Deal does. That's what my legislation does. And that is what we have to do.
Vice President Biden, your response.
My response is back in 1986, I introduced the first climate change bill, and check PolitiFacts. They said it was a game changer. I've been fighting this for a long time. I headed up the Recovery Act, which put more money into moving away from fossil fuels to solar and wind energy than ever has occurred in the history of America. Look, what we have to do is we have to act right away. And the way we act right away is immediately, if I'm elected president, I'll reinstate all
We broke $1,000? Guys, tweet this out. Let people know that we're streaming and we're trying to get donations. People can win this stuff, right? Let people know.
I didn't realize I was muted. I was
Thank
totally
you.
talking.
That wasn't a voice stretch.
Talker. I didn't know you were.
That's a voice stretch.
We're gonna do some donation shout outs. We're gonna do some donation shout outs.
What? Donation shout outs.
We're gonna do some shout outs right now. All right. All right. Let's see. Let's go back to where.
Oh, let me get rid of it.
Yeah, we got that one. Adam, we did that one.
Okay,
Rude. For $8.
Thank you, Rude.
808, like the TR-808 drum machine.
No. Let me see if I can. That's my favorite thing. Is the
like
you know what?
party. Let's post it out right now. He's bringing a synthesizer, guys. This is a real live stream. Get people on here. Post it on Reddit. Please let people know you want to raise money through this link and show Andrew that SoCal Yang Gang is powerful and they have this ability to draw money, right? We want to show him that. Thank you. You guys are the best. Adrian just sent through another dono.
Yeah.
Oh shit. You back the charger. You knocked it. It's all good.
Is it all right?
Yep, just plug it back in.
All right.
No worries.
We're all good.
No need to stress. Whatever, it's cool.
All right, cool. No, I was gonna say we got an 808 donation.
We got an 808 donation, so we're gonna bust out 808 beats. Let people know. Reddit, Twitter. Let people know we're streaming.
Does anyone freestyle?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to restream that.
What else should we talk about?
I don't know, but that debate was boring me to fucking hell. This thing's taking forever.
Oh gosh, yes. I did really love. I think that Ames town hall was so good. It was just like he's so personable, you know, and like wants to hug people, and it's like a genuine hug, not like a weird little air kiss or whatever. Like, you know, like the humanity of this man like moves me to tears at times. I'm saying. Yang. The humanity of Yang moves me to tears sometimes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I get emotional.
Ladies beyond.
Fucking women and their emotions.
I thought I had something that was programmed in here that.
Cool, I got it to work. Yay.
That's not what I was looking for. What's happening there?
Who's the dude in the back? I don't know who he is.
Oh,
I don't know either.
Sweet. Oh, this is incredible. This is what the girls just sent me.
Ask the question. I mean, you're on there. You're signed in, can't you? Leave a comment. Say, hey, who's that in the back?
Girls, you guys are incredible. Man, that's
Somebody
we had so many crazy adventures in Iowa with Sorority of Yang. It's when we win this whole thing, Sorority of Yang is just gonna have their own chapter in the story of Yang's path to presidency.
All right, that's not the new Yang song. That's not the new Yang. I love you guys, but that's not the new Yang. 20 hours later, he's like, yeah.
Rochelle, thank you, Rochelle, for $1.20.
The debate's like a party in the main room that I don't care about the main act. Like I'm all like in the side room.
What's up, Marie? Did we shout out Marie earlier? For 15?
Are you holding up over there? And then
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
And then you can see.
Yeah, but that's
smoke with us?
I've been hitting my little oil pen.
Well, we can just do it now.
Hey guys at home, you want to
That'll
smoke with us?
that'll collect everything from. I got that page up in March, so it'll take. It'll take like.
I really suck at rolling joints, and I'm really lazy at it.
Let's check. Just go back to that one.
You and Ray should have a contest on who can roll joints better, and then when
go
you
back.
see you be like, oh, you should totally roll the joint.
Well, sometimes he uses his cigarette rolling machine. He's got like one of those really fancy big cigarette rollers, for loose tobacco.
Yeah, that works.
And so sometimes, and then
We have to do all the math right now.
We're gonna do a Ronnie Tyler.
it's freaking perfect.
Let's put this on. I'm trying to watch this thing.
Debate?
Yeah.
Yeah, put the debate on so that little sliver of the screen can be on the stream.
And if he keeps trying to use religion,
God, doesn't Pete Buttigieg's voice just
if a guy like Donald Trump,
But he starts playing,
God,
like covering his face and just adding shit on the
Christianity
screen.
into the GOP, I will be standing there not afraid to talk about a different way to answer the call of faith and insist that God does not belong to a political party.
It sounds like somebody's running for AFC.
I mean, it's okay. Yeah, watching Pete Buttigieg talking about like going to war.
Oh, I know.
It's like is as if I would imagine Kai going to war.
Skate punker.
The macaron juice though, they make it after.
What are you talking about?
Oh, that'd be
I can find him. I can find him.
Who gave the donut? Humanity First TV. Humanity First TV, $10. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emilio. Thank you.
Yo, here we're trying to raise.
Okay, listen. We got new math. If everyone watching this stream right now donates $12 right now, we'll hit our goal. That's it. $12.
$12 to this link. Right
$12. Right.
This link.
That's right.
There.
To Andrew Yang, and you get a chance to
Yeah,
win
your
this
donation.
jacket.
Your donation there. Your donation there to the SoCal Yang Gang link. It's on the screen. That's SoCal for Yang. That's also the pinned tweet on @SoCal Yang Gang on Twitter. Yeah, if you do that, donate there. Then what's going to happen is you are entered to win automatically. If we hit our goal of $4,486, you are entered to win automatically this disposable income shirt, which is made by Yang Collective. It is beautiful. It's fantastic. I love it. I have one myself.
Whoever donates the most gets this. Right now, it's Michael's $220.
And if we have
You beat $220 to get
the
this
second
jacket.
highest owner gets this Yang Collective beanie.
Everyone who's donated
we're
$12.
We're making it happen.
So I was born and raised in
Okay.
Oklahoma. I have 3 older brothers.
Be part of history in the making, says Dwayne709. Exactly. Christina,
Yeah, I thought Yang was supposed to go live.
Keep it up. Praduma says, if I win, can Kai autograph it? Yes. Praduma, if you send it out and you beat the $220 from Michael, I will autograph it. Will autograph it. We all will. And I don't know what else we'll throw in there. We'll throw in a note. I don't know, something. But we need to donate to Andrew Yang $2 million goal. That link right there so we can give the giveaway to you guys. It is also to show the strength of SoCal Yang Gang. Thank you. That's the new, look at that. Donate. Link for Andrew Yang in the pinned tweet on SoCal Yang Gang. Woo! Everyone donates $12 right now. Everyone donates $12 right now. The next minute, we will hit our goal, and you get a chance to win this shirt.
I'll be right back.
Everyone donates $12 to Andrew Yang. You know what? Look at this. The link. Yeah, the link is. Link is right there. It is. You know what? I'm donating right now to Yang 2020. $12. Do you want to do it with me? Everyone do it with me. No, I'm just gonna do it.
This one.
I'm gonna show you
this link.
You guys, I don't know if I have $1 in my account. My payday is
$12. Leave no tip. Leave no tip.
Not to the DNC, no.
Not to DNC, no. DNC gets absolutely gets no tip. Stay here. Oh, I don't want to show my stuff.
No,
look, that's my thank you. Hold on.
Yo, God just tweeted.
That's my. Oh, God, it keeps on moving. That's it. That's the thank you. I just donated $12 to Andrew Yang. If you all do it with me, $12 right now, we'll hit our goal of 4,000, and everyone gets a chance to win one of these shirts. Okay, and the highest donor gets this jacket. Yeah. Let's do it. I just donated $12 to Andrew Yang. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yo,
so anything you could donate.
God just tweeted. God just said, "I've gone 5,000 years without talking to a single Chinese person, much less endorsing one. But damn it." Yes. America needs Yang.
Sasha donates $12. No, but guys, it's to the link that I tweeted on the SoCal Yang Gang tweet. Onto that actually donate $12. I'm gonna take that money and donate it right to them though. To T-Bone, that's $24 that should go there. That's okay. Shoot, that's not what I meant, guys. Donate not to this link, but to hold on. You guys gotta donate to this link.
Okay, guys, we got some
This link, but hold on, I'm gonna donate $36 right now to make it up.
Donation shout outs. Yeah, so we got Iman 2020. We got Christina 25.
Yes.
We got Michael 46.
Yes.
We got Tyler 12.
Yes.
We got Gilbertson 20.
Yes.
We got Alessandra 12.
Yes.
We got John 1.
Yes.
We got Heather 15.
Yes.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
So much. We are really making money for Andrew Yang tonight. Thank you guys so much for doing this. This is incredible.
Look at this.
We are bringing this in. We're bringing the money that's needed to get us the money, to get us that disposable income. And when you donate and we hit that goal, you get this.
You get this little
disposable
cute
income shirt, because that's
highest donor gets
that's
this.
what we get when we get the presidency of Andrew Yang. You know, when we get Andrew Yang in the White House.
Who's in the lead? Jildis is asking. Guys, okay, Sasha, I love you. I know you from everywhere.
We're gonna do
You're
a quick tally.
That's
We're gonna
so
do
funny.
a quick tally of the winners right now, or the highest donors. And remember, you know, when we hit that goal, anybody who donates, you could have just donated $1. You're entered to win that disposable income shirt.
Yeah.
But we're gonna do a quick. We're gonna do a quick. Yeah, sorry. We're gonna do a quick tally right now. It's gonna take me probably about 5 minutes just to pull the data right now and just get everything together. And then we're gonna do a quick tally of who is in the lead right now.
Yeah.
So we'll get that information for you in probably about 5 minutes.
Darren says just donated $12. Ali Kerr said just donated $12. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, everyone, we're donating to this link. Highest donor gets that rain jacket. Well, not that one, but one of them. And second donor gets a beanie, and we're going to randomly give one of these disposable income shirts. So a couple of people accidentally donated directly to me through my YouTube, which is fine. I am now donating $36 back to the campaign because that money's going to go into my pocket, so it's going to go back to the campaign because I'm sure that's what you guys meant. Leave no tip for Act Blue. Remember, guys, it is all for Andrew Yang to the $2 million goal. We're donating $12. Thank you so much. You guys are truly the best. I know we all have personal sacrifices. We all have a certain amount that we can all donate. I understand. We all live different.
Aw. Okay. Do you want to explain to Friar Steve?
Enough to take on Donald Trump Each of you face unique
The
challenges in doing
Democratic
that.
Party are cheaters.
Mayor
That's
Buttigieg,
just
you say
simple.
you've had trouble earning the support of Black
It was,
voters because you're unknown.
oh shit.
But you've been campaigning for a year now, and polling shows you with next to no Black support that you'll need in order to beat Donald Trump. Is it possible that Black voters have gotten to know you and have simply decided to choose another candidate?
The Black voters who know me best are supporting me. It's why I have the most support in South Bend. It's why among elected Black officials in my community who have gotten into this race, by far most of them are supporting me. And now, nationally, I am proud that my campaign is co-chaired by a member of the Congressional Black Caucus and to have support right here in Iowa from some of the most recognizable Black elected leaders, from Mayor Hart of Waterloo to former Representative Berry in Black Hawk County. Now, the biggest mistake we could make is to take Black votes for granted, and I never will. The reason I have the support I do is not because any voter thinks that I'm perfect. It's because of the work that we have done facing some of the toughest issues that communities can. Not from the luxury of a debate or a television panel or a committee room, but on the ground. Issues from poverty to justice in policing. And I'm proud to say we've been nationally recognized for our work as a race-informed city on delivering greater economic justice. We have reduced use of force by leading the region in transparency around the use of force in policing. Of course, there is a much longer way to go in my community and around the country. But I will be a president whose personal commitment is to continue doing this work.
Host of the Winecave.
Senator Sanders, you call yourself a democratic socialist, but more than 2/3 of voters say they are not enthusiastic about voting for a socialist. Doesn't that put your chances of beating Donald Trump at risk?
Nope, not at all. And that is because the campaign that we are going to run will expose the fraudulency of who Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is corrupt, he is a pathological liar, and he is a fraud. Now, when Trump talks about socialism, what he talks about is giving hundreds
I'm so sick of hearing all of that.
subsidies to the fossil fuel industry. Donald Trump is a businessman, received $800 million in tax breaks and subsidies to build luxury housing. My democratic socialism says healthcare is a human right. We're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. We're going to make public colleges and universities tuition free. We're going to have a Green New Deal and create up to $20 million saving the planet for our children and our grandchildren. We are going to take on the greed and corruption of the pharmaceutical industry and the insurance company. That is what democratic socialism is about, and that will win this election.
Mr. Steyer, you've spent more than $100 million of your own dollars on television ads. How do you convince voters that you're more than just your money?
Look, we know how Donald Trump is going to run for president. He's going to run on the economy. He's already told Americans last month in Florida, you don't like me and I don't like you, but you're all going to vote for me because the Democrats are going to destroy the economy in 15 minutes if they get in control. So let's be clear. I started a business by myself in one room. I didn't inherit a penny from my parents. I spent 30 years building that business into a multi-billion-dollar international business. Then I walked away from it and took the Giving Pledge and started organizing coalitions of ordinary Americans to take on unchecked corporate power. But whoever is going to beat Mr. Trump is going to have to beat him on the economy. And I have the experience and the expertise to show that he's a fake there and a fraud. Look, Mayor Pete has 3 years as an analyst at McKinsey. I have 30 years of international business experience. I can beat Trump on the economy. We're going to have to beat him on the economy. And I look forward to taking him down in the fall on the debate stage.
Mayor Buttigieg.
You demoted me. I was actually an associate, but that's okay. It was not the biggest part of my career, but I am ready to take on this president on the economy because I am from the exact kind of industrial Midwestern community that he pretends to speak to and has proven to turn his back on, and guided that community through a historic transformation when at the beginning of the decade I took office, we were described as a dying city. I'm ready to take on Donald Trump.
Did you
because
see that
when he gets
video
to the
where
tough
Pete
talk
just
and the
had,
chest thumping, he'll have to stand next to an American war
city of
veteran and
South
explain
Bend,
how he pretended bone spurs made him
destroyed the
ineligible to
homeless
serve.
encampment
And if he
and,
keeps trying to use religion,
pushed everybody tents, blankets,
if a guy
all
like
their
Donald
personal
Trump
belongings, just like
keeps
shoved
trying to
it
use
all away
religion to
with like a
somehow recruit
bulldozer.
Christianity in
Well, he had a whole
what do you call it?
I will be
Take out
standing there,
Smoke
not afraid
supers.
to talk
Yeah,
about
y'all
a
up.
different way to
for a
answer
while,
the
Put it in a
faith
big dumpster.
and insist
lives
that
together.
God does not belong to a political party. I am ready to take
Thank
on this
you.
president on every side.
Senator Klobuchar, you're pitching yourself as a practical candidate
He
who can
doesn't
get
fool
things
me.
done. And even tonight, you've dismissed some of
If
the
they
ideas that
nominate
are
her,
offered in
you
this
know what she
primary as
is?
pipe
She's the
dreams.
female John
How are
Kerry.
you going to inspire Democratic voters with a message of pragmatism?
John Kerry lost.
Our voters, actually all Americans, have seen now a number of years
Klobuchar.
of a guy that has, I think,
Female
told over
John Kerry.
15,000 lies. He is someone that
I
literally
voted
has
for
a
John
rap
Kerry.
sheet
Who
of
did he run
divisive
against? Bush?
rhetoric.
Yeah, so did
And
I.
I
But
think
that's
what
not the point.
Americans
W?
want
The
is something
point
different.
is that he
I am
didn't
going to be
win.
able to
And
stand
he was
across
boring.
from him on that
He
debate
was
stage and
boring
say
and
to my friends in
practical.
Iowa, the
Oh,
Midwest
Hey,
is not
I
flyover
see.
country for
you
me.
know,
I
and it
live
was
here.
like, oh, let's
I'm
go.
going to be able
I
to
didn't
look at
mind
him
John
and
Kerry.
say,
I don't
you've
like him.
treated these workers and farmers like poker chips. For me, these are my friends and these are my neighbors. I'm going to be able to look at him and say, you know what? You got $413 million over the course of your career. That's how you built your fortune. And what I'm going to say is this. My grandpa worked 1,500 feet underground in the iron ore mine, saved money in a coffee can in the basement to send my dad to a two-year community college. That's my family trust. And when you have been given an opportunity like that, you go into the world not with a sense of entitlement, Donald Trump, but with a sense of obligation.
Senator Warren, what do you say to voters who like your policies, but they're worried they will scare away swing voters you need to win this race in November?
So I was born and raised in Oklahoma. I have 3 older brothers who are all retired, who are all back there still. And 2 of my 3 brothers are Republicans. And sure, there are a lot of things we disagree on, and we can take dark corners and do the Democratic Republican talking points. But the truth is, there's a whole lot we
It's
agree
kind of
on.
funny to like
You know, my
imagine
brothers
her
are just
in the
furious
cartoon
over
or the video
Chevron
game,
and
like,
Eli
talking.
Lilly and Amazon, that our giant corporations make billions of dollars in taxes, make billions of dollars in profits, and pay nothing in taxes. My brother said, "I don't get this. I
She's
have
like,
to
"Let me-
pay my
what was that
taxes.
Andrew
Somebody
Yang
has to
quote?
keep
Well, how
the
did that
roads
go?"
paved and the schools open and pay for our defense." They understand that we have
Yeah.
America right now that's working great for those at the top.
Well,
It's
she's gonna be
just
like, "I have
not
the
working
data."
for anyone else. We have a chance to unite as Democrats, but also with independents and Republicans who are sick of living in a country that's working great for the politicians that are taking the money. It's working great for the lobbyists. It's working great for the corporate executives. It's just not working for everyone else. I'm building the grassroots movement, leading the fight. We're going to make this America work for everyone else. That is how we're going to beat Donald Trump.
Vice President Biden, the eventual nominee will face President Trump, who has no problem mocking people, using insulting nicknames, slinging mud, and telling lies. The debate against him will make tonight's debate look like child's play. Are you prepared for that?
I am prepared for that. Look, I've been the object of his affection now more than anybody else in this state. I've taken all the hits he can deliver, and I'm getting better in the polls, my going up. And by the way, I have overwhelming support from the African-American community, overwhelming, more than everybody else in this operation, number one. Number two, working class people, where I come from in Pennsylvania, the places I come from in Delaware, I have great support. I have support across the board.
He does.
And I'm not worried about taking on Donald Trump at all. And with regard to the economy, I can hardly wait to have a debate with him. Where I come from, the neighborhoods I come from, they're in trouble. Working class people and middle class people. When
And
the middle
that,
class
do you
does
remember the
well,
name of the
working
guy
class
on
has
The
a way
Price
up,
is Right?
and the
The
wealthy
host?
do well. But what's happening now? They're being clobbered. They're being killed. They now have in a situation where
Drew Carey?
the vast
No,
majority
or Wayne
of
Brady
people will never reach the
original host.
stage that they read. They've reached an economic security. I love that debate because the American public is getting clobbered. The wealthy are the only ones doing well. Period. I'm looking forward to the economic debate.
Yeah.
We'll be right
Yeah.
back with more
He
from
looks
CNN's
just like
Democratic
Bob Barker.
presidential debate, live from Des Moines, Iowa. Stay right here.
Here, let's go check out our homies again. Hold on. Bump that. We're out there. We're gonna go see Kai and all those guys.
Yep, let's check in with the dudes.
$10. Yeah.
There's Simon.
That Emilio? Emilio.
The party got bigger.
$10.50. Patricia, $10.
All right.
Praduma,
Yes, no.
$50. Thank you so much.
Praduma is trying to get the jacket.
Yeah, for real. Or the
Praduma.
one of the two. One of the two. It seems like
Praduma, you're fighting for the jacket. The jacket is sick, right?
Take the thing off.
Yeah. With three-way bidding war between Michael. What's up?
For 2020. Thank you
Oh.
so much.
Hey, Kai.
Hey.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you.
We might wanna end your side of the stream because I'm gonna have some ice cream.
Yeah,
Take
yeah.
the cover off.
Yeah.
Yeah, enjoy your ice cream, Will.
Yeah.
Enjoy some for me as well, please.
Huh?
Enjoy some for me as well, please.
Yes. Ice cream for everyone. Yang gang.
You guys got to, if you come through Arkansas, if you're driving up, going to Iowa, mi casa, su casa.
Oh, I don't even know where Arkansas is. Where's that?
It's right above
Hey,
Louisiana.
thank you, Anthony's French for the donation. $10. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You guys got to come through. It's above Louisiana, Will.
Okay.
Right above it.
I'm gonna. That's like the route. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Bye, guys.
My homegirl to donate.
Okay. I want to hear the recaps. I want to hear the recaps from these pundits. The best energy.
You should hit up Matt Dizzle and see what he's doing.
Do you believe she has the best energy? Huh? Yeah, you can. I do it on pageants. Huh? Oh, okay, fine. I cannot have ice cream with you guys. Sorry.
That is a really cute jacket, though.
Water, though. What water?
I knocked over that cup. It's okay.
Look, I thought Pete missed an opportunity tonight.
Oh.
You should say I miss Andrew. Hanging out there. He's a veteran.
Can we full screen?
Hey, can you hit up Matt Dizzle? My computer's running really slow.
And there was a banana.
And whoever you want.
Oh, it's Van. It's Van Jones.
Yep. Van Jones.
Put her on the screen.
Do you hear me in that?
They're saying Elizabeth Warren beat Bernie. Damn, guys, that means a lot.
It really does. It really does.
Yeah, can you hit up Matt?
Really well. She was unfocused. She was
What?
Tried. But,
Can you hit up Matt? My screen makes it really slow over here.
Tonight because it was such a low energy night.
That's awesome, right?
Can I do what?
JJJ, thanks so much
Hit
for
him
the
up.
donation. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, guys. Remember, we're donating to this link to help Andrew Yang, and we're going to track it and give you guys a chance to win these shirts, and I'll win the jacket if you donate the most. Right now, the winner is Michael with like $220. Do you have a total?
No, I'll total up. I'll total up. Total up. I'll total it up. Put the link out so more people can.
We'd be having a very different conversation. But only one person really kept up that optimistic, positive, excited to be here energy, which frankly she's done through the majority of this campaign.
Who was that?
NMD, thanks for the donation. Thank you so much. Yang gang, baby. They're talking about Warren being good.
Yeah, they need to have their woman candidate. That's why they're pushing it like this. Stupid narrative.
Okay. We'll only the two in the room.
Yes, sir. She's hired.
I'm a little surprised. I thought it'd be much more aggressive debate tonight. I mean, this is the last shot you got. So
Wow, that's good. That means it's boring, man. No one changed their mind.
Really surprised at that. Joe Biden has been leading this race since he got into it. Nobody touched him.
No one touched Joe Biden. Wow, that's sad.
This is your last shot to make an impression before you go in it. I thought he was strong tonight. I thought he had a very good debate. I was very impressed with Tom Steyer. I think there was something.
Hey, let's go.
Tom
Let's go
Steyer did
here.
well.
Hold on.
Damn,
I'm stopping the screen with these guys. Got a better.
Disastrous vote to support the Iraq War and make the case for it for years to come, even at odds with as his party moved, he still stayed in the same spot. So to see him continue to, I'm just going to say it, lie about his record on Iraq, which is such a significant, a pivotal issue, especially when you're asking about someone's judgment, I find it incredibly frustrating, disappointing, and such a disservice to American.
And it's so crazy because his response is not, yeah, I voted for it, it was a mistake. Yeah, he said it was a mistake 3 years later, but it was then, and this is what Zed predicted, Obama picked me as his vice president. And here's the best part.
Obama forgave
He's
me,
like,
should too. That's
right,
basically
that's what he's saying. And what he's also saying is like, I pulled the troops out of Iraq. And then he's like, well, but now we're going to have to keep the troops there to fight ISIS. Well, how did ISIS get created? But there's a total incoherence to his foreign policy. And so much of it is based upon just trying to cloak himself in as much as Obama worship as he can and not have to answer. Actually, one of the few good questions was when Wolf Blitzer asked him, they didn't go for strike authority to the United States Congress. They just decapitated the Libyan regime without asking for permission from the U.S. Congress. And then he's up there basically saying he would preserve that. He says he would keep troops in Syria. Essentially, he's going to continue everything that we saw. Little bits of policy were sprinkled in there. If you'll hear and you listen to that trade policy talking about China, that was the exact argument that the Obama administration made for TPP. He still supports TPP to this day. Same with NAFTA.
Biden's answer on use of military force couldn't come out of the Trump administration. I mean, his whole
bipartisan.
explanation,
Exactly.
He actually said that AUMF, the authorization for use of military force, which was passed for Iraq, justified all their action overseas. It wouldn't justify Iraq. How do you draw that line? I mean, it's nonsensical. I was glad to get the question. No one ultimately prosecuted the case on that, but that's, I think, for our job to make sure to educate people about the reality and the disparity between what he's saying and what actually happened. But we want to bring in now Senator Bernie Sanders, National Press Secretary, Brianna Joy Gray, back to the show. Great to see you, Brianna.
It's good to be here.
Oh, so happy.
I also want to say we invited folks from surrogates from all 4 of the top campaigns. Brianna was the only one able to make it tonight, although the others certainly send their regards. And we're going to have Adam Green on from the Warren camp tomorrow, as well as representatives from the Trump campaign tomorrow. Brianna, though, top line takeaways, how did you think things go?
Look, I largely thought that things were maintained the way that you described them, right? Like everyone basically maintained the status that they're at currently, exception of Elizabeth Warren. I think coming out of this debate, there is no question about who really carries that progressive mantle across the line. Once again, Bernie Sanders is clear in a way that she isn't about Medicare for all. He was presented with some interestingly framed questions about the pay for, which he always approaches with incredible clarity and directness. Doesn't equivocate about how a small tax is ultimately a huge savings for the American people, which I think is why Americans perceive him to be honest and trustworthy. In poll after poll, he's considered to be the most trustworthy and honest candidate. So when you had a moment like tonight, like this week, when credibility was really on the table,
We'll check in with these guys one last time, and then probably shut it down after that.
Everyone, Reddit, Twitter, everyone.
You know what? Okay, well, let's come up with, because I can set, you know, that group, we can set another thing. So once it hits that goal, it'll automatically be like, oh, now we're trying to raise this much, right? So like it'll just automatically trigger X amount. Right? So let's figure it out, right? Say at 10,000, you're gonna get Kai's personal jacket that he's like sweated in and shit. Yeah. He's gonna run around the block. No, he's gonna run around prize. No, we can't do combo prizes. Come on now. All right. 15,000.
10. What?
15,000.
Well, no, we can hit it. No. Yeah, that's true. Naked is worse than it. Naked is worse than it.
I just saw another message that said we only need $400,000 to meet the goal.
What do you think the amount should be?
$1 million.
No, you should have people donate.
No, we're gonna keep it. We're gonna still say that we only have 38 minutes right now to make this goal. So
donate now. Let's get the total. Yo, Tom, what the fuck, gang? Why? I mean, okay. I mean, if you like dudes, that's cool. Yeah. We'll
Mary.
donate for you to voice record gang. Gang. Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. So we got 9 for 420. We got for 2020. Coming up. $50. Oh no, sorry, Tom. We're at 21 seconds.
All right.
So we have
So
just trust me. I bought this. Okay, it's all good.
all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed your time with us. Hanging out and going to the wine cave and doing the damn thing. If you go over to Kai Watson's channel right now, those guys are still going. So hang out over there, chit-chat it up. We're going to shut it down over here. But thanks for hanging out. Hopefully you guys enjoyed yourselves. And next time, hopefully we don't have to meet at a random wine cave. Have a good night, Annette.
Oh.
Shutting it down. You want to say goodbye?
All right. See ya. Yeah, that was pretty fun.